friends, it is a cold January day, but the exciting news is it's the start of our garden season. Today we are going to be starting onions, celery, and asparagus, and I'm also going to show you how I mix my seed starting mixture. So as you can see, I have a couple of trays. I have a soil blocker to try this year. I'm gonna do a mixture of both soil blocking and regular trays just to see what works best for me. But for this first run, I'm gonna do the tried and true trays that I know. Now, these are getting pretty brittle. They're older. These were the super cheap Walmart trays, but we're gonna eke them out as long as they'll last. I've been slowly replacing some of my components with Bootstrap Farmer components, but they're really expensive, so it takes a good long while. But the trays I have for soil blocking are sturdy Bootstrap Farmer trays. But these will work just fine for now. So let's talk about the components of a good seed starting mixture. There's bajillions of different recipes out there. I even did a video on one a couple of years ago. My recipe has changed just a little. The ingredients are still the same. I still have perlite as one of my components. Vermiculite is another. And both of those really help hold in moisture into your seedlings. And this is really vital when they're at that baby stage. And it's why a lot of these seed starting mixtures are different than just potting soil, because they're heavy on the things that retain moisture. Now, the other ingredient is just going to be plain old peat moss. And you can use coconut coir. I know a lot of people use coconut coir because it's more sustainable. However, we don't really have a good, easy way to access coconut coir here without ordering it. So peat moss it is for us at the moment. There are times when time is an issue or access to supplies is an issue. For a while we couldn't get vermiculite, and I'll just settle for like a bagged seed starting mix. But there's a couple of drawbacks to that. First of all, it's a lot more expensive pound per pound. And so even if the little bag is cheaper than your components, it's going to end up costing you more in the long run because you're gonna have to have many, many more little bags. The other thing is, I was shocked when I do use the bagged seed starting mix at the difference in it versus my own seed starting mix. It's just so much easier to maintain the tiny seedlings in your own mix because it holds moisture so much better and it makes healthier seedlings overall. You can add a little bit of compost to this to give them a nutrient head start. I'll do that when I up-pot them generally. Right now, the seed itself contains all the necessary nutrients for it to grow. So let's get started, and let me show you my mix. So first of all, it's going to be 1 part perlite, and it doesn't matter what size cup or part you use, right? I'm just going to use this cup, so it's the same. 1 part perlite, 1 part vermiculite, and then 4 parts peat. Now, if you watch my other video, I used to use a 1:1:1 ratio, 1 part vermiculite, 1 part perlite, and 1 part peat, and that works just fine. However, I really like the density of this a lot better, and it doesn't really cause it to dry out that much faster. And this makes it much more cost effective when I'm using those expensive ingredients more sparingly. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more to this. And really, the days I do my huge plantings of like tomatoes and peppers, I probably will mix it in a much bigger tub. But for now, since I only have 2 trays, this is perfect. Now, the other thing that I have learned, our sweet friend Miss Kay told me this, and it has been a game changer. I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but it is a lot easier to put moisture in the soil when it's in a container like this, rather than putting it in these, and then put moisture in, and then fill it, and then put moisture in. It's way easier to wet it here and let it absorb the water. So we're gonna pour some water straight in here, and these components should really easily absorb this water. And I'm just gonna mix it up. And I'm just gonna keep adding water until it's completely moistened. All right, now we're gonna fill our 2 trays. And this is just super easy because the soil's already moistened. I'm just gonna plop it on top and slide it in. Here's how I organize my seeds for the year. So as you can see, I have a date and I'm already behind a week. I'm gonna combine these 2 weeks this week. And each of these has a week on there. This, I sorted out by seed time. If you just plug into the seed time app, your seeds you wanna plant and your zone, it will just populate a schedule for you, which is just the coolest. I really love seed time. It's my favorite gardening tool. And I have a review that I did last year on it, but even since that review, they've added more features. Like they have seed time layout where you can actually lay your garden out in picture form, and it shows you month to month what your garden is gonna look like, so you use every space of your garden. Like, you know, okay, the broccoli is gonna come up this month, so then I can plant something else there and I don't waste that space. It's really, really a handy tool. It saves tons of time and prep work. So if you don't know anything about seed time, you can check out our video down below, and I will, I'll put our affiliate link down there. I think if you click on our affiliate link, you can get $5 in free seeds from them. Most of the features in seed time are free. Like, they do have advanced packages where you can have more than one garden and some different things, but the basic features are free, and the basic features are amazing, and they're so time saving. So it's definitely worth your time to check out. So today we're going to plant a whole tray of onions, half a tray of celery, and half a tray of asparagus. So let's start with the onions. Now I have 6 rows in this tray, so I'm gonna plant 6 different types of onions just to make it easier. I have made these charts just on Microsoft Word, and it's got the same number of spaces and layout as my trays. And so what I do is I make a chart for each tray so I know what's to plant, because if I try to mark and label the tray, sometimes the labels come off and it's just harder. So I'm gonna go ahead and label one type for each row on here. I have 2 types of early Texas grano onions, and I am going to use these in 2 separate rows. And because they're from different seed companies, I'm just going to see how they work. One is from M.I. Gardner and one is from Annie's Heirloom Seeds. Both of these are older seed packets, so I'm going to plant several into one cell. They'll still germinate just fine. I did a germination test last year and they were close to 100%, so they haven't lost much of their germination. Now, one thing you'll notice about onions is that they'll say short day, intermediate day, or long day a lot of times on the seed packet. What that means is the location it's best to plant them. Now, before we get into that, I will say, if you've got a long day onion and you live in a short day area, it's okay to plant it and it will probably come up. These are the ideal locations to plant where you'll get the most out of your onions. So the short day is gonna be your southern US, and it has to do with hours of daylight. Your intermediate day is gonna be right across the middle, and then long day is gonna be in the northern United States. And if you are in a different country, look up the charts for your country. As you can see, this chart from Johnny's puts us squarely right in the middle. We overlap between short day onions and intermediate day, so I have a mix of short day and intermediate day onions. So early Texas grano is a Vidalia type of onion, and it's gonna not be quite so stout and pungent. It's great for soups and stews and things, sautés. These I use a lot of, so this will be a really great one to have on hand, which is why I'm not sad about having 2 whole rows of this early Texas grano. On the next row, I'm gonna put Trypaena lunga. Now this is a variety I have not tried yet. It's an intermediate day onion, and it's like a smaller, it almost looks like a shallot, but it's not. It's like a torpedo shaped onion, but it's a red onion. My girls really like the flavor of red onions, so we're gonna give these a try. I have another variety of bigger red onions, but these will be fun to try. Then I have just a white onion, and these are smaller. These are a short day onion called Pompeii. This is gonna be a great bunching onion, great for cooking. And this also is from M.I. Gardener. These, by the way, were from Baker Creek. Then I have the big red variety. I have the red burgundy onion. These are from M.I. Gardener. This is a short day. This is supposed to be a really easy, low maintenance variety, so I'm excited to try these. It's got a little bit of a spicy flavor, which is typical of red onions, but this one's supposed to be a little more pungent than normal red onions. So this will be a fun variety to have on hand. So try these. And then we have our Australian brown variety. This is gonna be a standard intermediate type. It's gonna be a good storage onion, a good flavor, a good size. So this is just kind of your classic yellow onion. And this also is from Baker Creek. I have my chart all filled out for planting my onions, and now I wanna make sure that I have the right side, so there's arrows in these little trays, so I wanna make sure the arrows are pointed at me. So I'm gonna put an arrow on the chart the same way those arrows on the trays are facing, so I know which direction is pointed towards me. And I'm gonna take a sticker. I just get whatever clearance stickers after back to school sales. Usually they have lots of clearance stickers. And I'm gonna put one sticker, this is a little heart smiley, they're fun, on the bottom of my paper, and I'm gonna put a matching colored heart sticker on the front of this tray, and that way I know, okay, this is the purple chart, and since it has so many rainbow colors, I can match up a bunch, and I have stars and all sorts of stuff. So this way I can match, okay, this is my onion tray. I know this is just a really easy way, because you could sit all day and make teeny tiny labels to go on all these, but that just is so time consuming. This is really quick, really painless, and I can print out a zillion of these little charts and just go. Let's go ahead and let's plant. We're gonna plant these little onions. And for onions, they're not as tiny as some. I just make a finger hole down in them and I just sprinkle a few seeds. I would love to hear in the comments what your favorite kinds of onions for planting are. I always love to hear new onions. Are you in a short day zone or a long day zone or an intermediate day zone like me? Let me know in the comments. By the way, we are zone 7B if you are following along and planting with us. All right, time to set these aside for now. And the next couple things we're gonna plant is celery and asparagus. Now, asparagus, I have my asparagus bed going, and actually this year will be year 3, so I'll be able to harvest some of my asparagus this year, but it's not as full and as big as I would like, so I do want to add some asparagus this year to my asparagus bed, because I would love a huge, massive asparagus bed. I love to eat asparagus. So I have 2 varieties. I have one from Baker Creek that's just a Mary Washington, which is just the classic asparagus. And then I have from M.I. Gardener UC 157. This is supposed to be another pretty standard variety. So I'm gonna split this back tray in half. Half of it's gonna be Mary Washington and half of it's gonna be this UC 157. So I'm gonna get a new page out. And this one's gonna be blue. Make sure my arrows are lined up. Get my blue sticker on there. Put my arrow on here. One of the first things I did when we got here to this house, which we've only been up a couple years, if you've been here for the journey, was plant an asparagus bed. And it's always really intimidating to plant asparagus beds because they feel so permanent. But it's kind of like if you don't ever just dive in and plant it, then it takes so long to get going. So I wanted to get going, and it's turned out I enjoy the place it's at, and I think that it's a good place. The garden is gonna stay where it's at least for now. And I'm really, really excited about being able to harvest some asparagus this year. It's gonna be exciting, but I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not just jumped in and planted the bed. Because here's the deal, the worst that could happen is you plant the bed and you decide you want to move it, and you're no worse off than you were because you wouldn't have had it anyway. So at least now there's a chance to have it. It's like the old saying, when's the best time to plant a tree? Well, 7 years ago is the best time to plant a tree, 10 years ago. But the second best time is right now. Same with asparagus. And an asparagus bed will just keep giving and giving for years and years and years to come once it gets established. So it's one of those things that's just really worth establishing. In my estimation, anything that really can give you food year after year with little maintenance is just definitely worth it. All right, next up is celery. Now, I have never had tremendous luck with celery. Celery is one of those things that I don't know why, but I'm gonna try it again this year. I have a pink variety to try, and I have the classic Utah tall celery to try, and we're gonna go for it. My philosophy is try something 3 years in a row. 1 year could just be a bad year for everybody. 2 years, okay, maybe you have a learning curve. 3 years, maybe it won't grow well there. But this will be my second year to grow it. I didn't grow celery last year. I did some cutting celery and it did fine, but I didn't grow just regular celery last year. So this will be year 2. We're gonna see, maybe I can make it work at this location. And these are both varieties. Pink plume celery and Utah tall celery are both from M.I. Gardner. If you have any hints as to getting celery to do really well, I am all ears, because like I said, I typically don't have great luck with it. And I think a lot of times I'll get it to sprout, but then when the hot weather comes is when I have trouble keeping it alive. So maybe there's something I can do to mitigate that a little bit. If you know of anything, let me know, because so many of you are much more seasoned gardeners than me. So we are going to put these on our seed starting setup. I've got heat mats down here that just helps them germinate. And I'm gonna put these humidity domes over top. This means I'm gonna have to raise this a little bit. We made these lights to where you can lower and raise them, which has been really nice. I'll post the link to our setup process and our whole seed starting setup if you wanna see that. But these humidity domes really help keep the moisture in, and I'm gonna make sure that those hearts are facing the way they need to be facing. And yeah, so we've got warmth, we've got light, we've got water, we've got the humidity domes. So in a few days, these should start germinating, and then we'll be on to planting something new. Now, once these start germinating and sprouting, we will take the humidity dome off because they don't need that anymore. It just helps keep that moisture in while they're sprouting. Thanks so much for joining us. If you got some value out of this, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to join us on all of our homesteading adventures. We are so thankful for each and every one of y'all. Have a fantastic week.